if you recall, when Ngozi Owela was here, she made mention of the WTO agreement. That also has come into effect, and we are signatory to that treaty. What is also gearing to us is zero duty to the import of member countries. So if we take this into consideration, Mr. Chairman, and I also want to say here that the COVID that we are praying assiduously that COVID subsides. The vaccine is getting on and very well, although many Nigerians are shying away from it, from what I gathered. But hopefully, very soon it will pick up and most of us will be vaccinated and protected against this pandemic. But we must also make sure you understand that a lot of industries outside Nigeria have suffered tremendous injuries with regards to the COVID. So picking up and really producing and of course for our own people to be able to buy these things will take a longer time. So putting all this together, Mr. Chairman, and then when we look at the target, we would crave the indulgence of this committee to understand that we rather trade on fair ground than to be in a haste. We need to take it slowly. 1.4, the last time when the COVID came into place, the government decided to reduce that budget to 1.3 trillion. By God's grace, we were able to get 1.5 total collection. So it is also our hope that if we get anything above 1.4, it will reflect in the collection. But I don't want us to set the target too high, and then at the end of the day, we find it difficult to meet, and we feel somehow that we have not been able to perform. But there are variables, intervarying variables, that I want you to take into consideration. And these agreements, when they fully take effect, they are really going to eat much in our own collection because there will be zero duties. And we cannot enforce it beyond that. We must allow these things to come at that level. So, Mr. Chairman, I want you to take this into consideration in taking a decision as to what amount should be. And appeal that we should return to 1.4, and if anything in the course of the year allows us to collect anything more than 1.4, it will be reflected just like it was reflected in 2021. But I don't want us to be too ambitious, only to fall far short of what is expected. I think the morale of the officers will be sustained if we are able to either meet the target or equal this thing. But if we begin to fall far below because the target is set so high, then there will be a problem. So I appeal that we look at these variables and consider the issue of raising the budget, the target to 1.6. We will return to 1.4, and I assure you that anything collected beyond 1.4 will be reflected just like it is reflected in 2020. There's no doubt about that. But our projection is that some of these variables that are...
sorry, Mr. CG, can you move your mic very close so that...
some of these variables that are mentioned will have substantial effect on the collection of duty. So I want you to consider that, Mr. Chairman. Secondly, the issue of scanners. Mr. Chairman, we are more than anybody eager to have scanners at the port because of very many reasons. First and foremost, it will remove completely the issue of contact to contact. Secondly, it will aid us in fast-tracking the process because where we have to indulge on 100% inspection of a 40-feet container is tedious, is time-consuming. For us, you can scan this within 2 minutes, and it's off. All we need is to get the details and then analyze it. So we are more than anybody eager to have scanners at the port. And that is why steps are being taken. Mr. Chairman, I want to take this opportunity to inform you and the honorable members that already Minister of Finance has bought 3 scanners, mobile scanners, based on emergency purchase. This May, by the grace of God, those scanners will land the shores of Nigeria and we will deploy them. Then Central Bank, in its own intervention scheme, has also offered to provide 4 scanners for us. Those will be deployed in the 4 land borders entrances that have now been opened for business. The process is ongoing. The Central Bank is going to do the procurement and then hand over those ones to us. But the ultimate, Mr. Chairman and other members, is that the e-custom that we envisage will come into effect very soon has as part of its components 135 scanners that will be deployed in all our ports, that is sea, air, and land borders. So if we systematically take this, and by God's grace we are able to effect this, then in the next 1 or 2 years, the issue of scanners will be forgone, and our own trade facilitation process will improve. In fact, we'll pick up. And then we believe that the influx of arms that comes through approved route, and I repeat this, approved route, will completely be eliminated, because then we have the instrument to be able to detect these things in the containers or in whatever package they are. But the issue of influx of arms in this country does not come through the approved route alone. Some are carried on the back of donkeys through the unapproved routes. Some are carried on the back of motorcycles through the approved routes. And some of these communities that live in the borders are part of the scheme of moving these things into the country. We have recently lost officers and our vehicles. In fact, for vehicles, I've stopped counting, because every day, every 2 days, I will have a report that our vehicles have been burnt. By who? By hoodlums in conjunction with smugglers. And these are border communities. So when we come and we talk about our interests in the border, what are we doing to also tell our constituencies that they must conform with the laws? They must follow the trend of events. In some places, as far as smuggling is concerned, they don't even know that it is wrong, it's against the law. It has happened in Congolam when I went on visitation. After talking to the communities, I saw a woman and she greeted me, and I asked her, why is your husband? She said he has traveled. I said, what does he do for a living? She said, don't smuggle me. You know? What he does is smuggling. So as far as they are concerned, they don't even really know what is the difference between smuggle and it's a way of life. And unless we educate these people, and we have the responsibility, not only custom, everybody has the responsibility of educating these people on what is right and what is wrong. And that is the only way we, as custom, will be able to enforce the law and get it executed. But if you go and face people who are ignorant of even the law, the first thing to do is to even educate them. And we do not have the capacity to go on community education. We are doing the best we can. But I believe as a people, we have the holistic responsibility to do that to our communities. Mr. Chairman, your next issue is no, it's not insurance. It's the 91. The retained funds, and you spoke about what amount in it is for recruitment. Mr. Chairman, in 2020, we budgeted 6.090 billion for recruitment. And in 2021, we have only spent not more than, now that...
Can you come again, sir? Can you come again?
In 2020, we budgeted 6.090 in for recruitment, and then in 2021 we budgeted 8.115. In 2020 we did not.
Sorry, in 2020 there is apart from that 6 billion, there's another 1.5 for appointment, recruitment, and something like that.
No, what this is it is.
It is two we add together. It gave us 7.6. Is there?
No, that is for overhead. That's a 1.570 for overhead.
Okay, let me show you.
1.570 is overhead. If you remove that,
There are two in 2020 budget. We have 6.090.
yes,
898.
that's right.
Then you have recruitment and appointment service-wide,
That's 1.5.
1.570.
Yes.
Yeah. So if you add the two together, it will give you 7.6 billion.
That's right.
That is it.
That is between 2020 and 2021.
And in 2019,
Yes.
we have the same. We have 3.8 billion for new recruitment and appointment service-wide. We have 1.388. If you add the two, it's 5.2 billion.
No, in 2019, Mr. Chairman, we budgeted that, but we did not spend anything out of it because nothing happened as at then. So when we roll over, we now discover that, and then at the point, we were recruiting more junior officers than, looking at the cadre, we have 3 cadre, which you know very well. The superintendent cadre, the inspectorate, and then the ICs. So we now discover, after taking the census of the personnel, that we only need officers more in the professional cadre. And that's why we ended up with 800 people in the superintendent cadre. And then we have to adjust between the inspectorate and the ICs. Those are where we need people, which of course, in the course of your discussion, you have raised that issue. We really need personnel at that level. And the total number given to us is 3,200. So we have to now juggle the figure. And by the time we juggle the figure, and of course, you know, we also, in 2020, we got an appraisal of our remuneration. So obviously, if you are making provision for the salary of this recruit, when they finish, it will go higher. It will rise beyond what you budgeted in the early year 18 and 2019. So that is the reason why the budget went a bit higher than what was previously budgeted. Because if, as of today, if we finish the exercise and they go through the basic course, they will start earning salary, and their salary must be commensurate with other people within the service. So so making the budget, we must factor that, and therefore that increased the figure that you are seeing.
Okay, the new one, which is the 2021, we have 9.6. So that one is still going to be, after you are going to keep the money aside for new recruitment.
No, well, we are not going, because it's something that is rollover. The 9.6, if you approve it now, when these ones were recruiting, by the time they go to training college and finish, their salary is going to come from there. So we are not having a new recruitment process, the exercise, and it's not like this money that was budgeted in 2020 is kept, is found and kept. No. So we roll it over. So by the time we finish the recruitment, it is out of this, if you approve, that they will get their salaries and all other allowances. So, Mr. Chairman, the next, you raised the issue of a scanner in Lagos. Lagos is big. Unfortunately, we have Tinkan, we have Apapa, and then we have, of course, Hameed. As much as I know, the one that was epileptic was the one in Hameed. It will work for some days, and then it stops, and then we repair it, and it works again. That can be repaired. But let me say this, Mr. Chairman and all members. Scanners, those of us who are aware of technology, scanners that were bought 20 years ago cannot meet the present technological development. Is not possible, because no matter how much they can repair it, the computerized system now that they installed in scanners, that cannot be transformed to be at the grade level that is. So we will, even if we repair it, it may not find its way, because these scanners we are buying today, Mr. Chairman, will have a centralized viewing center, which is like as big as this room, with all screen around it. Every scanning done in every port will be reflected on the screen. So, and the analyzers will pick up that one and store the data. And once an SGD is placed, you pull out the data, and then you do the analysis, and you send it. The person doing the analysis at the center does not know the number of the container or where the container is coming from, so that it removes contract completely from the importers for influence. So, and these scanners that we have today cannot fit into that technology. So no matter, we have considered repairing them, Mr. Chairman, but we discovered that it will be a waste of money, because when we do, they cannot be deployed and configured into the overall system. And so that's why we are working to get new ones, so that we can be updated at the level that everybody is doing his business.
So then we just advises like technical competitions.
Yeah. Then, Mr. Chairman, the issue of the training of members, I am all for it. You remember the last time this issue was raised, I said we are all for it, because I've discovered truly that not only trading partners, but you members, you need to know what we're doing. You need to have an idea of certain basic things, so that when we put them in the budget and we are reeling down some of these technical terms, you will be in the true position to know what we are saying. So I am behind the training as and CISS also, of course, as Honorable Mukhtar mentioned, is controlled under the CBN, and there's a chairman of a committee on CISS, and there's a provision for training of stakeholders under that, and we will work with them to ensure that one they are doing, because as so recently they've called for some of this training. We will from this year advise that they should incorporate our own members from the National Assembly to also be part of this training, so that they can also benefit from this. So we will do our own part, and I'm sure you are also in a position to also chip in with the central bank, so that it can be accommodated within their own training schedule. Then I am very happy with the suggestion that we should work prior to finalizing our budget with the committee, with the technical committee of the custom committee. It will help us in many ways. We'll get advices from you, and we'll also finalize this, and so that by the time we come, we're only telling you what you already know, and it makes it easier. So that will be noted, and I assure you that we will follow that advice and work with it. Then, the 91 billion retained listen. Chairman, all members, you know, 2020 is a difficult year. It was a year that not many things had happened. In Nigeria, we had a lockdown of about 3 or so months. Nothing was happening, nothing. So in terms of procurement, everything came to standstill. And therefore, we had a backlog. The BPP had a backlog. Everybody had a backlog. And so when things begin to pick up, there are so many backlogs, and that's why we are not able to get most of our procurement proposals approved. It's not only us. I'm sure it's common to as many agencies as we know, that because of that intervening period, that things came to stand still. There has been backlog, and we are trying to push it. It is our hope that this year there will be no lockdown. And if there's no lockdown, we'll push as much further as possible. I assure you, Mr. Chairman, that we have a very good relationship with BPP. Of course, the DG is somebody I know very closely. So on one-on-one basis, we do discuss issues that are very important to us, and we will send those memos to them. But I know also that they are overstretched because of the backlog, because it's not only customs. Everybody sends his own this in there. And they have to do due diligence, and it's not something that is done off the cuff. So I appreciate the advice. We will see, we will continue to strengthen our relationship, but what caused this backlog is because of the intervening period of the COVID lockdown. So we will improve on it this year, and hopefully we'll make progress. The duty that we, as a matter of fact, I don't think, if you know the battle we went through to get the levy reduced to 5%, and up to today, there are people in court who have sued customs and the government for this reduction of levy. So I will crave the indulgence of the members to let us sort out this one first, and let us level it, and then we see an opening where if we can look at the used vehicles. But honestly, to be frank with you, Mr. Chairman and other members, I think the more we reduce the influx of used vehicles in our country, the better. The better. Because the used vehicles that come to this country, we are now working on a policy proposal that will reduce the years of the vehicles that will be imported as used vehicles. Most of the vehicles that are imported into this country are rickety vehicles. Are rickety vehicles, which are rejected in the countries of origin. And then they are picked up and brought into anything that can move on the street, for us is a vehicle. But that is not the idea. The idea is to have a vehicle that is worthy is roadworthy. And to do that, we must put a cap as to the type of used vehicle that should come into this country. We are working on a policy proposal. We are looking at the reduction of the number of years. Mr. Chairman, if all of us visit Lagos, most of the trucks that collapse on the street are rickety trucks. They will move for 200 meters and then they die. That's why you find out at the port there's so much congestion. Because it's not because of anything. Because this thing, you load a container on them and they move for 200 feet, 200 meters, and they die. And then another one will come and die behind it. Another one will die by his side. So they block the whole the route. That is what is happening. That's what is happening. So if we now begin to bring in vehicles that are roadworthy, then yes, for now we are a dumping ground for vehicles. So, Mr. Chairman, we will look at this one, but honestly, I think we should also reduce the number of used vehicles that are imported into this country.